It's interesting. In yesterday's video from this series, Echoes of Emily, we had If I Can Stop One Heart from Breaking, where essentially our speaker laments suffering in general, says that if I could wish my way into usurping all of this suffering, I would do it so that no one else has to sort of do the thing, so that no one else themselves has to suffer. And in today's poem, I like a look of agony. Our speaker is essentially telling us that this suffering, our speaker values the suffering because it's as if that were where authenticity began. Our speaker's saying, I like a look of agony because I know it's true. I like a look of agony because that's the real stuff, baby. Now, it it's very easy to say that this is counter to yesterday's poem, but like I've said many times with Emily Dickinson and her writings on religion that seem to vary from being hardcore atheistic to very subservient Christian. This is a person who is writing over the course of 4 decades. Who knows in what mood she was when she penned this? Who knows how many of her poems she actually endorses? Right? There's something to be said for method poetry. If there's such a thing as a method actor who will put on the face and the feelings of whatever character it is they are portraying, why wouldn't poets do the same thing with the messages that come through in their poetry? It is 1000% possible that, yeah, Emily Dickinson did mean what she said in If I Can Stop One Heart from Breaking, the very same that she means 1000% what she says with I Like a Look of Agony. This video is part of 3 separate playlists here on the channel. Number 1 being obviously the Echoes of Emily playlist, but number 2 being a playlist of Emily Dickinson poetry discussions, and third, the general playlist for poetry discussions. If you like or appreciate the work that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing that I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. So consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more literature in the future. I like a look of agony because I know it's true. Men do not sham convulsion, nor simulate a throe. The eyes glaze once, and that is death, impossible to feign. The beads upon the forehead by homely anguish strung. So there is one great big thing here that jumps out when you read this poem, and it is an escalation. And I want to see if you catch it real quick. I like a look of agony because I know it's true. Men do not sham convulsion, nor simulate a throe. The eyes glaze once, and that is death, impossible to feign. The beads upon the forehead by homely anguish strung. There's a pretty big jump there between uh, a look of agony, because I know it's true. Okay, I can get that part. I can get behind that. Uh, how often do you hear about someone having a fake smile? All the time. Much more rare do you hear about someone who feigns hating their entire life. Um, it happens, but normally, I think that the phrase fake it until you make it works twice as fast with negative emotions as it does with positive emotions. So we're on board through the first couplet. Men do not sham convulsion. Okay, I can see that. Nor simulate a throe. Probably very rare, I will concede. But we have here convulsions and throes. The eyes glaze once, and that is death. Whoa, 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 whoa. Emily, weren't we talking about agony? Weren't we talking about pain? Impossible to feign. The beads upon the forehead by homely anguish strung. Now, you can have a look of agony by stubbing your toe. But our speaker here, from this look of agony that I have highlighted, jumps to death just 1, 2, 3 lines later. And that's a big jump. Straight to death. Unless neither of these things is really what our speaker is talking about. What do I mean by that? Okay, so we have agony, convulsions, throes, all three of these words. Look, I've done some stupid stuff in my life and gotten myself hurt once or twice, and all three of these things would apply. A couple curse words, throw in some throwing things, and yeah, that's where you're at. That's agony, but it's not death. Unless that type of agony, physical pain, is not what our speaker means. And what if we're not talking about physical pain? Because if it's not physical pain, it's very rare for emotional pain to lead to actual death, physical death. What if both of these are actually different extremes? Not the extremes of just stubbing your toe and literal death, but they are not the pithy nor the permanent. What if what our speaker is talking about is the agony of life that pounds us into submission? What if we're not talking about physical agony, but the agony of a life that we feel we have wasted? That's an emotional thing. A life that we can look out and tell we're not in any position not to waste. Do you not, when you feel you are wasting your life, wake up at 3 a.m. convulsing in the throes of anguish? If you feel yourself coming to a stage in life for which you see no exit, that you do not enjoy and for which you see no exit, is this not a very deep type of agony? And what do you do? What do you do in that situation? You can answer the existential call and decide this morning is the last morning, or your eyes glaze over, and it only happens once. Your eyes glaze over and you lose that flicker of life. You lose that fire in the apple of your eye. You lose that denunciation of your life's goals, of your life's mission, that denunciation of what it means to exist but once. That is a type of death. It's not a permanent death. It makes you a zombie. You keep on dying. You go on lifeless. It's impossible to feign. And I believe one would have to admit that those moments where these things come to crystal clarity, probably they break out in a cold sweat. Probably they do. That is what I think this poem is really about. Now, there's also something to be said for this cultivation of looks of agony. There's something to be said for our speakers saying, you know what I like? I like people suffering. I like people who are really going through it. I just like to see it. I like to watch. I've got a voyeuristic bent in my personality towards, people who are struggling. People who look like they might answer the existential call. It's just what gets my rocks off. What an Emily Dickinson's opening line. Emily Dickinson's opening couplets remain undefeated. I like a look of agony because I know it's true. It's hard to get much better than that. Now, if we are going to go through our tropes of what this series is and talk about nihilism and hauntology, there is a theory that we are alone in the universe. Because if there were aliens out there, we would have surely had them come to us by now. So, the theory goes, there must be some great filter through which civilizations pass on their journey to becoming multiplanetary, multistellar, etc. That great filter is something that knocks civilizations out. What we could say that this poem is expressing is that our speaker likes a look of agony because, having gone through that death, having gone through that thing and come out the other side, survived through the other side, our speaker knows the thing, the person, is true. The agonizer is real. Hauntological. We talk about the liminal. I'm going to read this poem one more time. Listen for past tense. Listen for will be's, the future. Listen for the ever escaping present tense. I like a look of agony because I know it's true. Men do not sham convulsion, nor simulate a throe. The eyes glaze once, and that is death, impossible to feign. The beads upon the forehead, by homely anguish strung. Very much of this poem is living in the present which is constantly dying, the present which is haunted by both the past which has been and the future which is yet to be. It's interesting because there's nothing here which is a hallmark to point to for the past. This poem is not haunted by the past. The poem's not really haunted by the future either, not by a canceled future, not by a future which is failing to present, not by a future which will not be. This poem lives very much in the liminal space. This poem lives very much right now. It's difficult to pull that sort of thing off. I like a look of agony, because I know it's true. Men do not sham convulsion, nor simulate a throe. The eyes glaze once, and that is death, impossible to feign. The beads upon the forehead, by homely anguish strung,